All right, what's up, everyone, to another video, Full Speed Impulse. We're at it today with the Klx140, doing that Bigbore BBR 170 kit with that 26 mikuni, and should be an easy process, guys. We've been looking forward to doing this. We've ran the bike on a 140 with a 22 mil with an airbox mod and a BBR rev box, and she has been absolutely good to us. She's been a ripper, and bike has had plenty of power. But, you know, we like to do our upgrades and all that and do stuff for the channel. So here we are. We're going to get this kit done, and let's get at it. All right, so we already got our plastics off. This bike was extremely dirty, so we had to take all the plastics off. We power washed, got it cleaned up. What we're going to do now is pretty much we're going to take everything off because we need to take the tank off, take the carb off, whatever wiring's in the way. Because all that stuff's going to get put back on. So we're going to take our timing cover off. And after that, we'll show you guys. We're going to do the tensioner and pop the chain off and all that. If we're going to put the bike at top dead center first, that way our cam and everything should be in position and our head when we go to put everything back on, because today we're just replacing the bottom jug. We usually just compress our piston rings when we're installing them into the jug, but we do have a piston ring compressor today, so we're going to give that a try for the first time. So let's get at it. All right, guys, we got everything taken off the motor now that we need to take off to get the head off, which was your exhaust, all your intake stuff here. These Allen bolts were in really tight, so we're going to make sure that we put some type of lubricator on the threads before we put that back in. We have our bolt here taken off, our tensioner here, that way we can get in with a screwdriver. And all you do is you get in here, and you're going to want to turn this clockwise, just like so, and you're going to feel it come to a stop. All right, once it comes to a stop, you're going to slowly go back, and then you're going to feel that it stops, and there we go. So you pretty much, you go all the way clockwise till you feel it stop, and then you just bring it back a smudge to where you feel like that's not springing you back. And once you feel that there's no tension, you just pull it out. But you got to be delicate or it will spring back. Now you can see that their chain's got some slack to it. Before it was really tight. We already made sure we're at top dead center. We took our cap off here, and then we used a 14 mil to rotate the motor to make sure it was there. And then you'll have your little line here with your timing marks, and your timing marks up here. All right, an important thing here is that this bolt is reverse thread. And then you should be able to drop your chain down in there, because we're going to be all the way down there in the first place. But I'm going to hang the chain off to the side just to be precautious. Usually a little coat hanger or something like that will get the job done. This should walk off. If not, get yourself a flathead and kind of work it in there. Here it comes. All right. That is off. Can we stick that through there? No. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And just keep it right there. And then we'll tie it off this here. All right, cool. All right, here, is that 14? I think that's a 12. Another 12. Oh, and I just noticed it was just chilling here. A little dowel pin right here, which is what aligns your cam. So make sure you grab that out of there, and obviously make sure you put it back in, and make sure you put it back in when we go to install. But that way we took that out so it doesn't drop down in there. You can see how the cam will go this far to the right and this far to the left. That's your cam lobes hitting your valves here. That's why we made sure that the motor is at top dead center, because even though we're replacing the piston and we're probably going to end up moving that stuff around a little bit, our cam will stay where it needs to be. So when we go to install this all back, it'll already be in the spot, and we don't have to mess with anything up here in the top end, which will be nice. So we're going to take the rest of these out here. Make sure you grab your copper washers too, or your brass washers. All right, no seals that I could see that are on these, so now the head should come off. Oh yeah. And we're already gonna wanna take this guy off here and just kind of hold on to the situation. Yeah, we're being extra careful. That thing ain't going anywhere. All right, cool. Oh, guess we'll walk our head right out the side here. Easy peasy. Okay, so we got this off, and we're gonna make sure that this is all cleaned up. And then we're also keep track of where your dowel pins are. So we do have a dowel pin here, a dowel pin here, and then whatever this is here, which I've never seen before. But either way, let's well, this should slide right off too. So let's slide that off. Okay, I think this guy right here. All right, I'm just gonna pull this out. I think that might have been hanging us up a little bit. Okay, so we got this here, and this stays in here. And now we're gonna undo our piston, which you got your little clips in there. But you guys know the deal. We're gonna get our favorite pick. We're gonna pick one out, and the piston will be out, and then it's prep time, boys. All right. So you got this clip right here, and there's actually a little notch. Now watch, you're gonna get new clips, but we just wanna make sure that it doesn't fly down in the motor. That would be good to say that it would be smart to put something right here. That way, you don't have to pull the case cover off and look for a little C-clip. And we're gonna try not to destroy this because you never know when you might need we might need it. We go blowing this thing up. So just like that, easy peasy. Man, we are starting to make this stuff look easy. And I always just put it right back in. Just like that. And then you get your favorite set of pliers. You know the deal, you know the deal. You always have that favorite tool that just seems to always make the job go easier. All right, get it wedged in there. Just like that. Yeah, buddy. That is how it's done. Man, I hope I just showed this on video. All right, prep time, boys. All right, guys, we are going to learn something together here. So normally when I do my piston, I just do it by hand. Sometimes I start by connecting it on the rod, and then I'll slide the cylinder or the jug down onto here. I've done it also where I've installed this on the bench, and then I put it on the motor, which I have found to be way easier. So what we're gonna do this time is we're going to use a ring compressor. Normally I just use my fingers. So we already got our rings on here. Make sure your top ring is the shiny kind of chromish stainless steel looking one, lettering up. Then you'll have your black dark ring here, again lettering up. And then you'll have your two thin rings here, which go on either side of pretty much your oil scraper ring, I think that's what they call it. But and make sure that when you put this in, that it does not overlap on the ends. And then when you do get all these rings on, you're gonna have gaps on all these. So you're gonna do a gap here, and then you could actually put this gap all the way over there. So do those at opposite ends, and then you'll have tiny little gaps here on these rings, and also stagger those. So you're gonna have a gap here, 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 and here, and that will be good. I think some people will say otherwise as far as they have their own methods, but this is pretty darn standard stuff here. So we're gonna do that, just like that. That one is there, so we actually gotta put this one here. All right, so we have a gap here, 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 and here. So I never paid much as far as it doesn't matter which ring is gapped where, as long as the gaps are separate. Now, I've never used one of these before. So I am gonna learn as we go here, but I'm gonna put this in here as easy as I can, and I'm gonna tighten down on it. I did oil this up a little bit, hopefully to make it slide a little bit easier. You also clean your cylinder here out with, I just used a little brake clean and wiped it down with a brand new clean rag, and then I lubed it up with some just your 1030 oil, standard stuff. Other than that, the only thing I don't know about this, which I guess I could look it up, but I like to kind of just learn as we go, is when I tighten this up, I don't think it's supposed to go in here. I think it's just gonna kind of rest evenly, and then we're gonna tap it down with a hammer, is what I've kind of seen the process. I also don't know if I'm supposed to start it on this end or this end, but I assume that the band's being here, you're gonna want it here because it's gonna get a little bit even clamping. And then so I'm gonna position, you have an arrow here. Your tensioner is the back side of the motor. So we're gonna want your arrow pointing this side. So that is important. So we're gonna have it like that, and we want it going in here just like so. We got our Allen here, which is gonna tighten it up. The biggest thing is when you're putting it in here, try not to spin the rings too much. Okay, so it is in there, and we are going to tighten this up. Maybe one more click, and I can see why you have to hammer it out, because it is gonna be tight. All right, we can't go any more. It won't let us click, so that is that. And it looks like we just gonna have to line it up even and give it a tap. See, we chose to do this last minute, and there's actually another method. It's like kind of like a plier setup, and I really like that method. Okay, well, she's in there, but here's my point is, are our rings in there good? I assume they gotta be. Our piston is pointing the right way. We are going to try to push this out now. All right, we should be able to get that installed just like that. That is just enough room. There we go. All right. So idea is now is that we'll go to put this on. We're gonna connect our connecting rod. Next thing, we're gonna have our pin that goes through here, and then obviously the C-clips, and you're going to use this pre-assembly lube. Just put a little bit on there, and you'll be good. And just specify what I'm talking about. It's this guy right here. All right, we got this all set up. Let's put it on. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do here, we have this guy, figure out what it was, just simply pushes out, clean it up, put in your new jug, put your gasket on. We're gonna put it on down here. Stick our dowel pins in right here. That's where they're supposed to go. And since, let's see, we got the piston here, we're going to put our clip in on this side right now. All right, so we're gonna put our clip in here first. Yeah, that one went right in the oil. There we go. There we go, now it's in. So you just wanna spin that. So that way, cover up that groove there, because you don't want that to be able to pop out. So just like that. So that way when we go to put this on, all right, so we're gonna open it up a little bit. The oil scrapers aren't the hardest ones to put on anyways, so we can work with that. That way it gives us a little bit more room. Our gasket is on. And I'm just gonna make this a little easier. I'm just gonna put a lube right directly in here. All right, so we're pushed in. Now while holding this, we have to get our clip in here. It's actually nice right now is that our chain guide is actually holding that up. I wouldn't rely on it, but it is assisting us, which is nice. Get started in that groove just like that. Push. All right, I think I heard it clip in. I gotta get my light. Let's give it a spin. All right, it appears to be in there. But yeah, it's always good just to give a little poke. Make sure it's actually in the groove, because if that's not in the groove, things are gonna go south real quick. All right, so that is the way, guys. So that's kind of neat to look at this now. See, we've learned something. One is that you don't have to worry about trying to run your chain through and your valve guide, your chain guide while doing this. And actually your chain guide, the one that sits in the bottom of the motor, helps prop the cylinder up so you can work at this. So I just learned something, as maybe you guys did too, is that makes this process way easier. So since we're all prepped up now on the bottom, we can pull this out. And we did get a little pre-assembly on our. Now we just gotta make sure our rings are still good. Yeah. Well, we're all the way in there. Ooh, don't go losing that chain now. All right, that way I can concentrate on what we're doing here. All right. It looks like our tensioner, that's what was goofing us here. It looks like it might have sprung back out. We're looking down our cylinder right now, and you can see this is where our cam chain goes, and that's where the cam chain guides go. If you see that little puddle of oil we're looking at right there, let me get my light. That is where your cam chain guide is going to go to. It's easy to miss it, and then you kind of feel like you're almost like pressing your cam chain guide in and almost forcing it, though it does seem like it clicks in the spot. That is not correct. So let's see if I could show you guys going in or not. All right. So obviously, here's your cam chain guide. That's your bottom. Let's see. It's gonna be a little difficult. I'm looking through the camera instead of watching what I'm doing. So you see how you can miss it and go in there, and that's no bueno. So you want to make sure it goes just like that. And see how it just fell into place? Like that's exactly how you want it. The other way, you'll feel like you're kind of pushing it, and you do get it to lock in, so you're like, all right, cool, like, but it's kind of twisted just a little bit, and you're like, just something seems a little bit off. So now we can get our gasket on and make sure all our dowel pins are good for the top end here, and then put our head back on, and then we're gonna start torquing bolts down, guys. All right, guys, we got our bolts in there. We do use a fastener assembly lube. And what that does is just allow you to get the true torque specs of the bolts, allows everything to kind of glide a little smoother. We already kind of worked these in using our wrench. We kind of went cross pattern, just pushing the cylinder down. Don't tighten one side, then tighten the other side. Go a little bit at a time. Keep an eye on everything. Make sure everything's settling down evenly, that you're not binding anywhere. And then once you get to that point, now we can torque them down. And again, same process. Let's go a little bit. And we got this set at 16 foot-pounds. All right, that one clicked. Go over to this side. That clicked. That clicked. And that one clicked. So that's good. I never see any torque specs usually on these, but that's usually because these are a 8 or 10 mil. So I usually just go with what's snug and what feels good. Just because these are going to be a low torque spec, even if there was one. So you don't have to truly worry about these. So I'm just going to snug this one up here on this side. Just don't use anything like with a big handle on it as key. So like this, we're just tight, tight, and that's good. Now for the fun part, it looks like our tensioner did stay where it needs to. All right, I think we're going to be one tooth off, but we need to check and make sure that our mark is still where it needs to be. All right, looks like we've rotated. All right, there's your F mark, and you want top dead center mark. All right, there we go. All right, that's pretty spot on. I'm just gonna shift it a little bit. That way we get our dowel pin in here. Just like so. Then we're gonna rotate it back to top dead center. The reason why you've seen us go this far is because the cam was spinning until it hit that valve, and then it stopped spinning and allowed us to spin the sprocket to the position that we needed to put the pin in. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Now they do say 12 o'clock, but keep in mind that your motor isn't at an angle. So 12 o'clock is this mark right here. So you think 12 o'clock, you would think straight like that, but that would make you actually off. That would actually make you off on timing. So now that we got that, now we can put our bolt in, and I'm gonna put a little Loctite in there. Just the blue stuff. Alright, put it in first gear. That should make it a little bit harder. Oh, I don't. So there's multiple ways to do this, but what we're going to do is we have it in gear, and we got our foot down on the brake, and I think this being a 12.2, I'm going to go with the same thing with 16 foot-pounds of torque. All right, that should be good at 16 foot-pounds. So you should release this when we're doing the, let's double check our timing one more time. Because you're supposed to release that and then do your timing. So we might be off now. Nope, we are good. Cool. We're still good. But you still should do that. You should always release this first. So make sure you put your screw back on here or your bolt back on here. Like I said, button this up, close this all up here, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, if you bought the whole kit, then you know the deal. You got a throttle cable. We took our cap off, and all you do is slide this through here, and then you keep pushing, and that little metal collar sleeve you see will plug in there like that. Then you're going to pull your slide out, and you want to make sure that when you do this, that you do your spring in here first, and you're going to compress that in. So let's get all our cable that we need here. And you're going to do something just like that. You're going to take your cable, you're going to go through that hole, come to the back side, you're going to push it over, pull it in like that. Put this plate back in here, just like so. Should look just like that. You can see that. Spring is going to go back in. And just make sure your spring's even, it's not pressing on the seal. And there's a right way and a wrong way to put your slide back. And you see how you have this big notch? You're going to look down in there. You're going to see a big pin, which is going to be, it looks like your, that's going to be your idle adjust. So let's put this back in there just like so. Okay, that's tight. Feels like that's working good. Carb's positioned good now. And you can route your cable up. Same way as your stock cable goes. So make sure you take your vent hose. Plug this back in. I'm going to have it go around the carb. Just like that. That way, it's not getting in your way when you're pulling your choke. So we just got to put our bracket back on here, plug the fuel tank in, put our exhaust back on, and we'll be able to do a fire up. All right, first fire up, fuel's on. We are going to pull the choke. Let's see what happens. All right, you got to also get a screw for our idle. You got it. Sounds good. Hey, we didn't do any adjustments to the card yet. Our goal is we're going to do that in a different video, doing some jetting and all that. We need to do that since Mike. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope it helped you out. Well, we got the carb running pretty decent. We're going to do a second video on dialing it in. But other than that, bike's broken in, running great and all that. And you guys know the deal. Until next time, we'll see you later.